Police Chief Jim Hurley, and welcome to this edition of Police Beat. Today we're going to talk about the events that occurred in your Leicester Police Department in July and the early part of August 2017. So without any delay, let's move right on into our topics. The end of August marks the end of the summer school vacation for students of the Leicester Public Schools. Please remember that beginning the last week of August, that school will be in session in Leicester. School buses will be out on the road, and students will be walking and utilizing crosswalks and sidewalks in the areas of the schools. Please use extra caution as you're driving. And remember that Leicester police officers will be out doing extra patrols around the schools and following school buses in both marked and unmarked police vehicles, enforcing the school bus safety laws, the crosswalk laws, and other motor vehicle laws such as the school zone speed limit, which is 20 miles per hour. If you recently lost power within the past several weeks and you live in the area of Peter Salem Road in Leicester, you can see from the photo on your screen what caused the power outage. This gentleman was operating down Peter Salem Road when he lost control of his vehicle, struck the pole, broke it in half. Part of the pole and the wires actually came down on the roof of his vehicle. When the power crews came to assist us with the accident scene, they had to cut the power and then reset the pole, which led to an approximately 4-hour outage in the area. Recently, we have seen some graffiti and vandalism on the lower end of Stafford Street at some of the businesses near the Charlton line. The next photo on your screen, you can see some graffiti that was spray painted on the side of a building. We're asking for the public's assistance to identify who might be responsible for that graffiti, and through our Facebook page we've determined that it also appears at several other locations in our community. At the same time we found the graffiti, several windows were broken at the mill on Stafford Street, and we were also asking for assistance in identifying who might be responsible for that vandalism. During the third week of August, an alert resident telephoned the police and said, "There's a suspicious man walking in the driveway of my neighbor's home, and I know that they're away." The Leicester Police Department sent several units to respond and eventually located that suspect walking down the street quite a distance from the home where the resident had seen the suspicious activity. The individual was questioned and determined to have an outstanding arrest warrant, and when officers placed him into custody, they located the items you see on your screen under his control. And the item that you see on your screen right now is what we call a heroin kit. It contains the needle, the cooking cap, and the razor so that they can cook their heroin and inject it. So my 34 years of experience in law enforcement tells me that this guy's peeking around a house in a neighborhood where he shouldn't be. He's carrying his heroin, and he didn't have a really good story to tell us when we confronted him and had an interaction with him. I'd say that neighbor presented a housebreak, and I'd like to thank that neighbor for doing so. That's exactly what we need our residents to be doing, calling us on suspicious activity. The next photo you see on your screen is of a car with a broken windshield. This is a vandalism that occurred in town. A local resident heard some commotion outside his home. He and his father went outside, and lo and behold, his car window was smashed, and he identified his ex-girlfriend as driving from the scene after having allegedly just broken the window on his car. So that female has been identified and is being summoned into the East Brookfield District Court to face charges of vandalism over $250, which is a felony. We had another accident here in town, car versus utility pole. You can see the photos on your screen illustrate the significance of the accident. The car is up against the stone wall and sustained heavy damage. And the next photo shows you the pole actually broken in half with part of the pole on the ground. Fortunately, there were no serious or life-threatening injuries as a result of this crash. As always, we respond to a number of shopliftings during the time frame that we're covering. And just to show you the different types of items that individuals seek to shoplift, we took a photo of one of the shoplifters, as we call it, their haul, and have it up on the screen for you right now. This individual was primarily after makeup and beauty items. That individual has also been summoned into the East Brookfield District Court for shoplifting. The next photo on your screen is of the front lawn at the Vibra Hospital, located on Route 56 or Huntoon Memorial Highway. It's a very interesting case that we became involved in. We received a call from the state police indicating that they had information that a stolen motor vehicle was in the area of Route 56 near Stafford Street. They described the motor vehicle to us. We converged several units on the scene. Several state police cruisers also converged on the scene and located the vehicle. The individual fled from law enforcement and at one point drove right across the front lawn here at Vibra Hospital and struck a vehicle in the parking lot. The individual actually ran over the foot of a Massachusetts state trooper when he was trying to flee the parking lot, but the vehicle was stopped and the suspect was apprehended a short distance later. Based upon the fact that the information originated from the state police and that their officer had sustained an injury, that suspect was taken by the state police for processing. Recently received a call at a local cemetery about an illegal dumping. We went down to the cemetery and we found a large number of road construction signs, probably 8 or 9 of them, I think was about the count that I was told were there. These are clearly stolen. They've been taken from either a break at a construction company or stolen off the roadside somewhere. We have distributed this information on social media, but have not been able to identify who owns the signs. If you happen to have any information on that, please call us. We'd like to get the signs back to them. Several weeks ago, there was a motor vehicle crash that occurred on Route 9 at Bottomley Ave that resulted in damage to Lions Park. The next 2 photos you're going to see on the screen are of the damage to Lions Park. Some of it is the gate that was there. Some of it is some of the displays that the Lions have put up and maintained in the park. But this vehicle went off the road, caused the damage, and then fled the scene. As we were investigating and trying to locate and identify both the vehicle and the individual, we received information that there was a video on a popular blog called Turtle Boy Sports showing a video of the individual who allegedly was involved in this accident, and that individual appeared to be driving while intoxicated in Worcester and then into Leicester. The person who was filming the video actually spoke to the driver. We were subsequently able to identify who the video, I guess I would have to say videographer, was, the individual taking the video. We have spoken with them, viewed the video, and have been able to make 2 cases, one for the accident at Lions Park and one for the erratic driving that was videotaped, and those cases are currently before the East Brookfield District Court. Interesting event occurred during this time period also. Happens not very frequently, but we do have it occur from time to time. Received a call that a resident had found a bone and was concerned. You can see that the bone is on the screen. Initially, when we look at this, it appears to be an animal bone, but we have a standard protocol we follow when we find these, and we get a hold of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, and we also notify the District Attorney's Office. They connect us with a forensic anthropologist who looks at the bone and determines whether it's animal or human. In this particular case, it did turn out to be animal. We had another motor vehicle crash. We had a car go off the road and into the woods. You can see from the photo on your screen that that vehicle sustained heavy damage. That individual did sustain minor injuries, but non-life threatening. The next photo you see on your screen is of a motor vehicle crash that occurred on Route 9 near the Spencer line. It's right outside what used to be the West End paintball, but is now the new solar farm. The vehicle, you can see on your screen, crashed into the rear of a tractor-trailer unit at that location and sustained heavy damage. Another motor vehicle crashed on Route 9 down in the vicinity of Hanks Marina. A vehicle came off the side street across from Hanks and pulled out directly into the path of the vehicle that you see on your screen at this point in time. The vehicle that was on Route 9 sustained heavy damage, and as you can see from the photo on your screen now, the vehicle that pulled out in front of it also sustained heavy damage. There is absolutely no disagreement as to what occurred in this crash because a surveillance camera in the area picked up the entire crash on video, and that has been secured as part of the investigation. We've had another motor vehicle crash which ended up in a rollover. You can see the photo of that vehicle on its roof. That vehicle sustained heavy damage. There was only minor injuries as a result of that crash. One of the cases that we're going to cover that received a lot of attention was the dog that was found abandoned up in the vicinity of Moose Hill Road. I'm happy to report that that investigation is progressing along nicely. We have it to a point where we know who the last person was that had possession of the dog. They have given us a story which is questionable and they cannot document, so we continue to work on that, and hopefully we will be able to bring that to a conclusion with a court prosecution. Another motor vehicle crash occurred on Route 9 in the vicinity of Blueberry Lane. You can see from the next two photos on your screen that both vehicles sustained significant damage. However, there were no serious injuries, and that matter was investigated by members of the Leicester Police Department. Let's take a moment now and go to the Leicester Police Department mailbox. I received this question recently, and I thought it would be a good one to answer on Police Beat. It says, when I read the Leicester Police Log online, I do not see any reports of domestic arrests or calls. They're not included in the log. And the answer to that is yes, that individual is 100% correct. The Leicester Police Department now no longer prints any domestic violence or criminal harassment information in the daily log. It's redacted or it's taken out, and that's pursuant to a change in the Massachusetts general laws which occurred about a year ago, and it says that that information shall be redacted because the publication of it in the log ties the domestic not only to the offender but to the offender's relatives and family, and they want to protect the abused party and their family from taking any other type of, however you may want to call it, harassment or just negative contact. If somebody's father gets arrested for domestic assault, the son may hear about it later on the day in school, and they don't want to have that going on. So now we do redact it and have been since the law was passed. So that was an excellent question. Let's take a look at the Leicester Police Department arrest log. It's important to note when we go through the arrest log, with our switch to regional dispatch back on November 15th of 2016, the police station is no longer manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that presents a problem for the Leicester Police Department as far as the holding of prisoners. We do have an agreement with Spencer and Worcester where they will hold our prisoners, and we do have on-call jail monitors. But what we've also seen is there has been a dramatic drop in the number of people who are being arrested. Officers are choosing to summons individuals into court rather than arrest them because it avoids having to go through the more complicated booking process. But arrests do continue to occur, and here are some of them. Bernard Ortiz of 119A Mechanic Street and Spencer, 18 years old, arrested for operating under the influence of drugs, negligent operation of a motor vehicle, and a marked lanes violation. Next arrest was Holly Dawn Gannon of 29 William Street, Worcester, 24 years of age, arrested for operating under the influence of intoxicating liquor, failure to signal, and negligent operation of a motor vehicle. Next arrest was Joseph M. Clark, 11 Whitney Street, Worcester, age 31. He was taken into custody on an outstanding warrant. The next individual was John N. Caraccio of 183 Chance Street, Lancaster, Mass., 39 years old. He was arrested for operating under the influence of liquor, second offense, negligent operation of a motor vehicle, and a marked lanes violation. Also taken into custody during this time period was Corey Streeter, 107 Country Club Boulevard in Worcester, age 31. He was arrested for operating after suspension, speeding, and an outstanding arrest warrant. And finally, let's take a look at some of the statistics for the Leicester Police Department. I've noticed on social media that individuals have commented that there are a lot of motor vehicle crashes in Leicester. So I ran a check on the time period that we're currently in to the time period last year, which was one of our lower years for accidents recently. And this time period is even lower than it was last year. We only had 27 crashes during this time period, and that was about 8 or 10 less than we had during the same period last year. During the time period we covered in this segment of Police Beat, there were 66 arrests or summonses that took place. There was 1 protective custody, and I found that interesting only because anyone who's arrested for operating under the influence is generally placed in protective custody, but due to a way we classify in the computer, only 1 came up as a protective custody, even though there were multiple, because they're linked to other criminal activity. And calls for service and patrol-initiated activity were 3,765 during that time period. Finally, we continue to hear a great deal about the opioid epidemic and the opioid crisis and how it affects every community. And Leicester is no different. The police department has worked very hard to combat the opioid crisis. We do our drug take-back. We have the depository where you can drop drugs off in the kiosk. We work with the DARE program. We allow our room to be used downstairs by an organization called Talk, Tears, and Tea. That's a support group. Officers carry the necessary equipment should they come across an overdose. And one of the things that we also do offer is free of charge, no question asked, home drug test kits. So if you think your child, other household member, loved one, or someone has a drug problem and you would like to drug test them, you can come to the police station and ask us. We will give you a home drug test kit, free of charge, hand it to you. You can take it home, do the testing. We don't want to know the results. We just ask that you use it in accordance with the law. And after you get the results, if you need to come back to us and say, hey, I need some help, where can I go for this? Where can I get assistance on that? We'll be happy to assist you. But it's a free drug test kit. It's a great way to hold someone accountable if you have a concern. So just give us a call. We'll be happy to get you one of the test kits. If you have any information on criminal activity in the town of Leicester, please call us at 508-892-7010 and hit option 7. That's the crime tip line. Or if you want to speak to me personally, you can hit extension 2010, and that'll get you directly into my office. Finally, all the information contained in this production of Police Beat is taken from the logs of the Leicester Police Department. These are public logs. Viewers are reminded that suspects who are arrested are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Police Beat will gladly publicize the name of any suspects who are exonerated in court. And then finally, if you have any questions or comments about Police Beat, you can reach me at the phone number I gave you a minute ago, or you can email me at the email address on the screen right now. That concludes this edition of Police Beat. I'd like to thank our executive producer, cameraman, and the man that does everything for us, Art Paquette, for producing this. We'll see you on the next edition of Police Beat.